All right, we're live. So I'm Brent Leary.
Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Playaz, and it's Thursday.
That's the best, sadly, that's about the best we can say for it.
It's another week, but we're here, and we've been bringing the as since when now?
2009. Actually, January 2009, roughly a couple of weeks before. So I think it was like January, I want to say January 9th or something, but it was a week or two before our 2025 IRL 2025 conference, which would that mean would be actually celebrating our 16th anniversary, our 15th anniversary on our 16th anniversary, which is
No, it's
awesome.
actually closer to that because I believe I'm looking at. I can't show it right now,
The
or can I?
article.
The
Yeah, there
date
it is.
is January 26th.
Oh, so it's actually will be just short of our 16th anniversary. So technically, we're still celebrating our 15th on that day.
And we're also celebrating the moment of Sven.
Yay! Ooh. Oh, okay. This is like Indonesian or Malaysian. It's one or the other.
Getting pick one.
Abracadabra. Abracadabra. Um, I'm saying Indonesian or Malaysian, but I don't know which one.
Pick one.
I,
Take
uh,
you got a 50-50 shot.
I'll take Malaysian, but I don't know. Indonesian is usually the answer because it's more commonly like spoken and known, but I'll say Malaysian. And it may
So
be a dialect
Malaysian
in
it is.
Malaysia, but I don't know. But Malaysian was what my guess is. Okay,
So
Sven, what is it? I'm now on pins and needles, man.
pins and needles. Anyway, while we're waiting for the answer to that, we last week we were gonna play our oh wait a minute, we got an answer in. Here it is.
Oh, I was right.
Does that's
He's
his way of
saying it's
saying
no
it's right?
fun. He's basically saying it's no fun with you because you're always right. It's Indonesian. I was wrong. I was one of the two. I just guessed the wrong one.
Well, but you said Indonesian in the end, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think I said Malaysian. I was
Oh,
guessing
okay.
Malaysian only because it's less common, and I was hoping it would be less common. But I mentioned that Indonesian is actually the more common answer. Is what I said,
Ah,
I knew it was one or the other. There was no question of that, but I wasn't 100% as to which.
well,
Indonesia would be my gut response would have been Indonesian, so I went against it.
well,
So
I think Sven is giving you the credit when he says this is not
he
making fun
is. No, he is. Thank you,
of
Sven. You're a very kind person. And Sven, watch your invite will be coming for IRL 2025 probably early next week. It looks like.
So before we get into Indonesian, was your first thought? There it is. So
Yeah, it was my first.
there it is. So he's giving you going off the first one.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll take I'll take any win I can get after the election. So
So since you mentioned, what are we calling it again?
IRL 2025.
IRL 12. Any updates you would like to share with the folks?
Yeah, we're actually putting together some good stuff, right? So we've got the sports panel is coming together, and I'll tell you what we've got so far. We've got Charlie Shin, who is he's the VP of. Actually, he's got a new job there. He when he was at Major League Soccer, he was ran all of fan engagement. Now he's the vice president in charge of all of fan engagement and all digital initiatives at the Indianapolis Colts. And then we have Russell Sabetti. When Russell is the VP of Business Intelligence Analytics at the New York Giants. And believe me, we needed his help desperately. Uh, right, because we're certainly not getting the gut stuff right. So, anyway, Russell is in charge of that. And Russell, by the way, and Charlie are both visionary thought leaders and are wonderful. Then, of course, we have my one of my favorite humans alive, brother from another mother, Kenny Lauer, former head of marketing for the Golden State Warriors, and of course, co-host with me on Engage with Paul and Kenny. And one of the many things he will be doing there will be on the sports panel to talk about what his again visionary. And then finally, we have another visionary who's going to be coming in a different way, and that's Jonathan Becker, who's the president of San Jose Sharks, used to be the CMO of SAP. And those of you who've seen him on the show or who know him know this man is a Renaissance man, par excellence. And so we've got 4 stars, and we have one or two more we're working on, but there's no confirmation yet, so we'll leave that out. We have a keynote. I think we mentioned. Have we talked about Brian being the keynote yet?
No, it doesn't hurt to say it again if we didn't.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know Brian Solis, shame on you. And as everyone always says, you have been under a rock for at least 4 decades. But Brian Solis, who of course just came out with his new book, Mind Shift, will be our keynote. And if you attend, you will get a free copy of the book, Mind Shift. And finally, Anand Thakur, who Brent is often called the Midas of Martech and the Golden Smog for varying reasons that I'm not 100% certain of, but still sounds so cool. Anyway, Anand Thakur, who's an investor, is going to be co-presenting with me, and there will be a possible third, but I don't want to say it yet, on PC and video gaming and the model behind it and why it is absolutely works for the 21st century and is actually probably the best model to learn from. And hopefully, no guarantee yet, we will have a physical copy, as well as probably a digital one, but a physical copy of Anand's 40-page paper and one chapter of my book. And we'll have some copies of my book to give away. One copy of my book available to the attendees of the conference. So this is a thought leadership and a media conference. It's unique, believe me, and really, really cool. And don't forget, it's the celebration of our 15th anniversary. We want you to be there to celebrate with us. So come on down. And if you want to get an invite and you're not on the list, Paul-Greenberg3 at the56group.com. Send me an email, and I'm not guaranteeing one, but you got a decent chance you'll get one. So send it to us.
Yeah, you got to work on your come on down a little bit.
Yeah.
It didn't have the Southern feel to
I
it.
would never even try the Southern. I'm a New Yorker, and I can't imitate a Southern if I can't pronounce the letter R, right? So.
So that what you did you give the dates?
No. Show up whenever you want, whatever city you want. We'll probably be there. It's January 21st and 22nd at the Atlanta Tech Village in Atlanta, which I think the Tech Village is in Buckhead, or at least it's near it.
Oh, yeah, it's Buckhead.
It's in Buckhead. So it's a nice neighborhood. It's a really good venue. And the night before, if you're a spirits drinker, you will have bourbon and donuts. And if you're not a spirits drinker, you can have wine, beer, or donuts and other things too. But come to the party. It's going to be a great time. And maybe there'll be some other surprises at the party, but I just thought of something, but we'll see.
You got to keep it to yourself so it'll be a surprise.
Until I talk to you about it first.
All right, well, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. That sounds like fun, and it's still shaping up. Things are coming together.
Yeah, they're
coming together. No, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So we'll be
together, and I'll work on my come on down.
Yeah, we'll be letting you guys know as things solidify. Kind of like saying that. Anyway, so we were going to do something last week that we weren't able to do because we just talked all the way through the show. But this time we are not going to do that because we're going to play a really cool conversation that we had a couple of weeks back at UserTesting's This. Do you remember what this stands for?
Yes, I actually do. The Human Insight Summit. You
Yes,
to my head finally.
The Human Insight Summit, aka This. It's like This 24. This 24 with This 24 what? No, it's actually This 24. And it was cool. And I think we talked about our experience. It was the first time either of us has gone to one of their events, but we had to go when we got the invite from one of our favorite people, Susie Penner, who also let us know that there are a lot of other folks that work there now that we really like and we've known for a number of years. They just brought in their CMO, Johan Reed, who is somebody that we've known for a long time. And working with Susie is Paige Musto, she's a VP of corporate marketing, I think.
Yeah, she goes all the way back to NetSuite with us.
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking like decades,
Yeah.
and of course there's Susie, which Oracle. So we had her Oracle, Johan at SAP, and
Jamie
Paige at
initially.
NetSuite.
initially
Well, that's who we're going to be playing.
oops.
Yeah, I was leading up to
Oh,
that.
boo. Good.
And of course, the person that we actually did a special CRM Players show with while we were there is Jaime Anderson, who not only have we known for a lot of years, he was also a Playa-in-Residence.
Yep.
And I think being a Playa-in-Residence actually, it kind of like gave his career path a little bit more mojo.
That's what we
'Cause he
do.
left us.
Everybody who's
Yeah.
a player, well, Ginger Conlon goes to Genesis as a result of us. Brian Solis goes to Salesforce and ServiceNow as a result of us. And Jamie, I think, went to Exactly as a result of us.
And remember, El Nicole went to Contently.
That's right. El Nicole went to
Contentful or
Contentful. Yeah,
Yeah.
Contentful as a result of us. But I mean, we have legitimate reason to take credit for all of these. As soon as they became Players-in-Residence, all of a sudden people realized, oh, they must be really good if they're Players-in-Residence, and let's hire them. And they probably didn't even bother to interview them or anything. They probably
they just gave them the job.
Salary, come on over.
We saw you on that show. We're not even going to interview you. Do you want it?
Yeah,
it's yours if you want it.
What do you want? It's yours.
So we had a chance, and like the last time we had caught up with Jamie, he was still at Adobe, and we were at this summit, and we had a chance to sit down and he kind of reminded us the room that we sat with him at UserTesting kind of did remind us of how it was the setup where we talked with him at Adobe, but that was in Vegas, and thank goodness UserTesting was not.
We were in Austin, Texas, which is so much better place to be than Vegas.
Absolutely. So do you want to queue up, before we play it?
On the interview, I think I did it didn't I do one when we started? So it's probably, I don't want to do it twice.
No, I can't even remember.
I can't either. Well, let's
do a short one.
So, okay, very simple. I think I've known Jamie 20 years. He was like a senior director at SAP in the CRM group. And I found over those years, Jamie is not only extraordinarily smart and gifted in terms of business, and his acumen is just off the charts. And it showed, he became CMO of SAP CX. He became CMO of Marketo. He was sitting on like either board positions or C-level positions at Exactly, and in a couple other places. I'm blocking. Yeah. And now, but he's also incredibly gifted, as you'll see if you watch this all the way through, in other ways that are just hilarious. He's just a wonderful person. Doesn't have a and by the way, one thing I will remind you of, because I don't remember where it showed up. He literally, when in his youth, was the lead guitarist and I think the lead vocalist for a rock band that had a #1 hit in Scotland that was named after some famous, at the time, football player in Scotland. But he went all the way up the chart. So he's the only CMO I know who literally had a #1 hit on the Billboard.
I didn't know he played football in Scotland.
He didn't.
I didn't know they played football in Scotland.
They do.
Not the kind of
no,
football we're used to.
Not that kind. The other one.
Well.
The other one.
the
other football.
Anyway, so here we're gonna just let this play. It's it's good timing. So we're going to step to the side and we'll watch ourselves. This is always kind of awkward when we do this, but
yes,
it is what it is. So Jaime Anderson, president of global operations, I believe.
Global
field operations for UserTesting. Here it is at this summit.
We're not used to having. Feels like a prop. But anyway, ready? All right. I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and we're not in Vegas. Thank God.
Thank God.
We're in Austin.
You know what? I like this town because it's got voodoo donuts.
Yeah, I was going to say he likes the donuts.
That's the reason I like Austin.
But we also like coming to good events, and this is a first-time event for us.
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, actually, I don't know what number event it is for them either, for that matter. How many times have they had the
event? Why don't we say what the event is?
The event.
The event. This is the event. It's from UserTesting.
No, that's going to get into
The Human Insight Summit
this
with
is the event.
UserTest.
No, but what's the name of the event? This is the event. No, what's the name of the event?
This.
Who's on first?
I'm not. Anyway, we're here for UserTesting's the Human Insight Summit. Man, this is good.
I know. I'm actually excited. Look, there's one thing I mean, I know what we've known UserTesting itself for decade plus because of CRM Idol when they were contestants back in the day. I think they made the semifinals, maybe.
That's a long time ago.
Oh, it was a really long time ago. 2011, 2012, 13. I don't remember. Anyway, that and the one thing that I like about these guys, especially human-centered. Human-centered.
Yeah, that. Or this. But you know what else we like? What? Somebody we actually know. We get a chance to talk to somebody we haven't talked to in years, and when he last talked to him, he was at another company.
And before that, he was a Playa-in-Residence.
I'd actually forgotten about that.
Oh, well, how do you forget? But that's the most important part of this.
The most important part is you're getting ready to introduce our guest for today.
I guess I will do that. So I have known this gentleman since I think his title was Senior Director, maybe, at SAP. And the first day I met him, no, not the first day, the second time I met him, he showed me a video of him getting killed in a car. Literally.
That's very true.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And from then on, though, I knew this guy was my friend forever because he was creative, he was smart, and he had a really fresh look on marketing and how the world had to go, and social was just coming big at the time. And
that's right.
He had figured that out already at that point. We have stayed in touch ever since that time, and since that time, he has increasingly taken more and more senior positions at multiple companies. He was at SAP, he was exactly now he's here at UserTesting. There are several others in between, but that would take us half the show for me to talk about what he's been on the board of and so on. We have a ton of friends in common too, and he has a talent which we'll bring out a little later for something that I'm guessing a lot of people here maybe don't know. But in any case, I want to introduce my buddy and yours, Jaime Anderson.
Thank you. It's great to see you guys. And how nice is this that we get to do this in person?
It's very nice.
Yeah, and it's rare.
And it's not in Vegas.
It's not in Vegas. This ain't Vegas.
Very cool.
Now, one of the reasons they say that things stay in Vegas is no one wants to take them out.
Do you know, I was just reflecting, I think it's kind of funny that when I met you that I must have felt an incredible sense of trust at the time to show you that video. But it was, I had a friend that was a director, and I still maintain to this day somebody must have dropped out of it, but he was filming a TV show in Scotland, and he said, look, I've got a part for you, and I'm thinking, oh my God, at last, someone has noticed the genius, someone has noticed right, that I have skills beyond programming or whatever, and I thought, this is it, this is my big break. I turned up on set, and what I always remember, he said, bring your car, right, and I had a nice car. I didn't actually know that that's the whole reason he'd invited me. And when I got there, I discovered that actually my role in this TV show, this pilot, was I was playing a character called The Target, which I discovered very quickly was not a recurring role as I was murdered in my car. So there ended my kind of like acting career at the same day that it started.
Wow. All right. So you were just telling us before we started recording that the last time you were in Austin, you were actually here to play music.
Yeah.
And that was what, 20 years ago?
1994. It was 30.
30 years ago.
It was 30 years ago.
Wow.
And it was amazing, you know, because we were a young band from Glasgow. And I mean, we didn't think it was possible to do these things, right? You know, getting on a plane and, you know, I somewhat remember it. I'm not sure we were entirely sober, you know, by the time we were at, but it was phenomenal. And it was just great. We were talking about, you know, just being a creator and being creative. It's not always necessarily the most rewarding thing financially, but, you know, for the spirit, for the soul, to create something out of nothing, you know, is amazing. And coming to a place like, you know, Austin, Texas, which now, I mean, by the way, the event that I think we came to would only have been about 5 or 6 years old at the time.
Wow.
South by Southwest. In fact, after South by Southwest, we went to what at the time, no longer, but what at the time was a sister event called North by Northwest in Portland, Oregon. And it was Willamette Week, which I think was the local paper, had teamed up with South by Southwest to put on North by Northwest. And we did that as well in Portland, Oregon. And it was just...
Was Cary Granite at that one, North by Northwest?
No, I think I was mistaken for it. But it was really good. It was great fun.
How do you end up in IT after all of this? I mean, you basically you've been let's say a short-lived acting career, but a rock band that had a #1 hit in Scotland, right? And you somehow end up in the world of technology. How did that happen?
Well, I'll tell you why, right? Fundamentally, right? And I come back to this, right? See, it's 17 when it started, right? It was really amazing to be a bum musician, right? To be poor and have no money. Somehow, that was kind of a hot thing to be, right? When you get to 27 and you're still a bum musician, it's no longer quite as attractive a proposition as my good lady wife at the time would remind me, right? You know, I met Marie. Marie and I had been married, you know, 25 years. I met Marie way back, you know, when I was in the band. She always says that she really put in the hard yards on this investment as well, right?
Yep.
And I was in love with it. I was in love with music. And then I fell out of love with it, you know, the industry itself. And I think if you get to that point, and you no longer love the thing you do, you should stop it. Because you will really fall out of love with the whole aspect. You won't even listen to music, I think. But yeah, you know, we had a long, long line of hundreds of thousands of talented people that it didn't happen, you know, big for. And we didn't make any money. I mean, we really didn't make any money. So I always say that, and around about towards the end of the band, I'd actually started programming, right? So I'd started old-fashioned going in, writing software applications, you know, for people.
What language were you writing?
So, oh God, hundreds. So I did AS400. So I wrote procurement applications in AS400 for IBM and Greenock. I used the Borland database engine and a solution called Uniface by CompuWare, which was a Dutch company, to write scripts that abstracted data from databases and put it into Oracle. So I understood Oracle 6. There's a DBA in Oracle 6. I mean, it's crazy. But I used to do all these little jobs, and I used to call them gigs as well. So yeah, I've got a paying gig. So that was my paying gig, and I had gigs which were really not paying, but they funded all the other things. So I created the gig economy. Anyway, that's how it was.
So you've been at this for almost 30 years.
Nearly 30
yeah,
years,
absolutely.
yeah.
So you've seen a lot of things change. You've seen a lot of technologies come and go, a lot of rise, a lot of fall. Where does all this AI, the last 2 years, where does this fit into what you've seen? Is this the most dramatic? Is this the most transformative or disruptive? Or is this just anything else that's come on in the last couple of decades?
Look, first of all, I think it's exciting. I mean, I do think it's exciting. I am both very optimistic about, you know, usage and what AI can do. I'm also similarly deeply concerned, right? I think deep fake, I think all that stuff where we live in, politically, we almost live in like a post-truth world where somebody tells you this is the truth. By the way, I'll come back to AI in a minute. Another thing I hate is people go, well, I want to tell you my truth. No, you just want to tell me your story, right? Don't conflate a story with the truth,
yeah.
right? I hate that
I
phrase.
just want to be transparent.
Yeah, I want to be transparent. and by the way, and the line that kills me, because we're in, obviously, politics is big at the moment, right? The one I also love is, let me be very clear before they say something that's entirely opaque, right? I just want to be really clear.
The
Okay,
key
go
word-
for it.
They,
I'm waiting.
They want to be clear. That doesn't mean they will be.
Right.
That's
It's
the
just
key.
a desire.
But no, I think that the AI thing is, it's like we've seen many, many trends over the years. Like the advent of cloud and things like that obviously was really, really exciting as a mechanism for, delivery. And I think it was transformative, in tech. AI as a thing, I think is really, really interesting. I think the one thing I love about it is, the ability to interrogate. As someone who manually loved to interrogate data, as someone whose brain is wired, I'm trying to find the patterns in this data. To be able to look at large data sets, lots of language, as well within those data sets, and pull out commonalities and common themes and distill that into something that's potentially actionable or at least worthy of further investigation. I think that's phenomenal. I mean, that stuff is great. Some of the other usage seems very frivolous. I'm struck. I tell you one I'm really struggling with. A friend showed me the other day, because we're talking about music, and he went, I can write a song in 2 minutes. And I'm like, all right, can you? Right? He says, right, give me a scenario. And he just put in the chat GPT, write me a country and western song with this title, and it spewed out the lyrics. But they were nonsensical in the sense that they rhymed, and you could put them in the bars of a country and western song. But it's meaningless because it's not art, right? It's not coming from within here. So all this stuff, it's like, the augmentation capabilities in video and that. I mean, some of it interesting, but to create something meaningful and real, no.
Well, that goes to UserTesting itself as a company. I mean, one of the things, again, known of the company for many years, but one of the things that's made it really intriguing is that it is, AI is used, but it's human-centered. And it is dead center, human-centered. So can you talk to that a little bit? Because I don't think enough people know the company yet out there, and I think it's time for them to really get to know it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If I go back to when I was first introduced to user testing, this is my reaction. So, obviously I'd left SAP, gone to Marketo with Steve Lucas, and, met you guys, after, the Adobe acquisition and things like that. And a mutual friend introduced me to Andy McMillan, the then CEO, of the company. And Andy and I met, and he was explaining to me who user testing was and what they did. And my reaction, and I'll avoid the expletive because this is a PG rated, podcast. I was like, holy heck. Why have I never heard of you guys? Because, and just to put this in perspective, so I paid, and I wouldn't say who, but a very large agency to provide me 4 reports a year, so a report every quarter on things like share of voice, customer sentiment, so share of voice in media, customer sentiment, net kind of promoter score for usage across our product lines to understand, well, what product, usage is going well and what do people feel about the products, and various other customer-centric things. And I had a PDF delivered to me every quarter, which had all this data in it and some insights, and it cost me $1.6 million a year.
Oh my God.
No, but listen, and I'm going, I think that's very reasonable. So at the
Wow.
time,
That's like
so
New
I'm-
York real estate.
there you know you're working for SAP, right? So I'm going, God, this seems very reasonable, right? And this is great insights. And then Andy tells me about user testing, and I'm like, holy heck. So I could ask, and I could go to a panel of real people, and I could segment that panel, and I could get results in 2 hours. And this could help me make better
2
decisions,
hours.
almost in the and even if for me, I started to go, but even validating decisions that have already been made, right? And then getting ahead of it. And you think about, you said, you'd known user testing for 10 years. And I want to put this in perspective. Imagine, right? So over a period of 10 years, you've got 3,500 enterprise class companies globally doing what smart companies do, which is, if you believe the customer's always right? If the customer's always right, just let's anchor on that for a moment, right? We don't want to get into a debate about that right now. But if the customer is always right, why don't you ask them? And how many people do ask them, right? And smart companies, and I count people like Amazon and Google and Microsoft, Xbox, all that type of stuff, getting ahead of user needs, proactively trying to discern where do users want to go next, right? And what can we do to get ahead and become more predictable in providing products that we know are going to sell? It should not be guesswork, right? So I think at the core of user testing is the ability to get to the heart of what customers really want to see, how you continually innovate and keep pace with their desires, needs, and wants. And so much of what's been done, I think, historically in this industry, and you look at survey tools, for example, you're asking somebody what they think after you've delivered something, as opposed to building the right bloody thing in the first place. So I think in a nutshell, what user test enables people to do is focus on the proactive nature of CX, right? And then over time, with that large data set you collect and the AI model, again, you can start to create more predictability, right, in what you're building. So it's pretty cool.
Let's talk a little bit more about the AI portion of this. I mean, we're at the Human Insight Summit, so human is definitely at the center of things. But what's the best way to integrate AI into this while keeping human at the center? Because a lot of what you're seeing is AI when you talk about agents and things like that. You're hearing human in the loop, but you're almost feeling like the human in the loop means humans first over here, but as time goes along, it feels like humans in the loop, but it's AI driving it now.
Well, I think it's brilliant. I think it's really interesting. Everybody's kind of going to this, AI agent thing, right? But I think about companies. Companies are not going to sell anything to an AI agent. You're not going to sell to a bot.
Right.
You're going to sell to a person.
You can onboard a bot.
So I think it's going to be really important to know. I think it's going to be really important to know what your customers think, how you benchmark your experiences, right, against your top competitors, and how you know the frustrations that maybe people have. If you think about, for example, think about some of the biggest industries that we have, whether that's telecommunications, media, retail, finance. If you look at some of these industries, and I look at them, we've started releasing pulse reports for these industries every quarter, which is really cool, where we ask hard-hitting questions to a subset of consumers about what they think in each of these industries. But what's common in these industries, right, is that the differentiation of product is wafer thin, right? And even if someone creates an innovation, it's so short-lived because with AI and machine learning, to create the digital equivalent of that really super quick is
You
there.
can write a song in two minutes,
Yeah, exactly.
But that does go to your point, though, about you're not selling to AI. I mean, while we're sitting here, my brain was like starting to rotate into AIRM and AIX and AI engagement. I mean, nobody's interested in building something that would provide great experience for AI. You have actual customers who are paying money, who are buying things that they need to do something whatever it may be.
You mean we're not going to have BX bot
Yeah,
experience?
bot experience.
But you could, at the end, and well, at the end of the day, right? You know, it's a commercially driven world. So customers have money, ultimately, and your job is to get them to part with money
That's right.
to your company for your service or your capability or your product. And that's what I'm saying. If you look at, you know, financial services companies and, you know, media, telco companies, they're operating on very, very thin margins in many times and with very little product differentiation. So the differentiation becomes either the digital experience, you know, which could, you know, in time be, you know, through, you know, the Apple Vision Pro. I mean, you could be doing it through there. If you look at, I think the future is, you know, sports media and, you know, how you watch basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever, is going to be through that because it's incredibly immersive. It's really powerful. And so, you know, being able to calibrate that experience and get real feedback. Now, I want to, you know, put this in the perspective of if you're in that space and you want to know how the customer feels or what they think, and you want to know, as I said, I got a report on share of voice. I didn't know what my customer's voice sounded like. I don't know what they looked like. But with user testing, again, if we ran a study, just say, for example, 1,000 people using the Apple Vision Pro, you get their early feedback about different apps, experiences. You know, you got a broadcaster who's broadcasting, you know, like the baseball, and you're sitting right, you know, behind the dugout. How does that feel? Is this, you know, is this something that you would pay a premium for? How does it make you feel? You know, and they're capturing the real live commentary of someone saying it's immersive, it's awesome, I can look up and see a bit of the stadium. And so the AI engine then correlates all that and says, here are the top 10 things that people love, and here are the things that they find really challenging. Now, if you as a product owner, right, developing that solution for market, get that feedback quickly, you can correct it before you launch. And that is so powerful, and that gets you ahead of the competition.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the other thing, I mean, it's kind of been your history, you know, if I look at it for all the years I've known you, you've always been exceptionally customer focused. I mean, to the point of combating your peers on that very issue. And you didn't allow anybody to veer from that either. You know, you kept their focus where it belonged, really. And here, it seems, you don't have to do that because people are already doing it, right? So that's going to be a little different. Because, I mean, even look, I know a lot of your prior companies, right? Yeah, and including Marketo and, you know, and Steve Lucas, great guy. Exactly. But I also know that they did veer. I remember various specific times I could point to it. So here I'm looking at a company, though, from, you know, to the extent I do know it, that doesn't, I mean, to veer would literally be antithetical to the existence of the company. Yeah. So what's that even feel like we're in a situation where you don't have to, like, force anything?
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying, because I think that what runs deep culturally is what I would say an intellectual curiosity about how our customers can provide better experiences for their customers. And some of that is internal customers, you know, the usability of internal tools. You know, sometimes, you know, as I said, it relates to the digital experience. Some customers we have, it's like the physical, they want to know what the physical experience of identifying the products on a shelf in a shop looks like, where, you know, customers doing unboxings and wanting to see, well, what is the customer experience like of unboxing this product for the first time? So there's so many use cases, and it is so exciting. I think the key is to really bring focus into that. So I would say that, you know, or don't get me wrong, I mean, put me in any situation and I'll find a challenge and an opportunity in equal measure. But I think that's been one of the things that I think has diluted, if you like, you know, user testing's visibility in the market, that it's done a lot, right? It has, you know, said, we can do that to practically every use case, as opposed to really focus on the ones that have the highest impact, right? So my job at this point is to identify with Johan Reed, whom, you guys will meet tomorrow for the umpteenth time.
But at this company for the
But
first
at this
That's
company
right.
for the first time. But I think bringing Johan in as well, is someone that I trust to distill down those common use cases to effectively, help our customers understand the value. Because a lot, being very honest, I think a lot historically of the user testing world has rested in what we would call the UX domain, the user experience domain, which is the researcher's domain, which is obviously hugely important and highly valid. But the user researchers in many cases they're downstream of somebody identifying that there's a potential impact of doing this research up here. And what I'm helping, our customers do is to connect. Well, what are you being asked to do and why? Have the same intellectual curiosity to go, okay, you want us to run a research study of X number of people who've traditionally bought, let's just say, traditionally bought a fuel-driven car, not an electric car, so they've never been into electric cars, and what is their perception, and then how would we put together a marketing campaign to alter that perception, right? Now, if you're a researcher, you would typically go, okay, I'll run that research, and you get into user testing, and you'd basically create your list, you do all the segmentation, you go, right, I'm going to ask these questions, I'm going to run an advert past people, I'm going to find out what people think of this ad, and I'm going to feed it back. As opposed to maybe the researcher going, well, this is really cool. Imagine if we did that here, here, and here, and what would the impact be? So helping them themselves articulate the value of the work they do, I think, is hugely important.
So last week or last couple of weeks, we've been having these debates, or I don't know if they're debates, but we've been talking to a lot of folks that are on the venture capital, private equity side about investing in enterprise apps and how AI is impacting that. And some of the things that we've heard is that, well, the traditional enterprise stack is very, relational database centric and very structured data. And what we're seeing is this potential with AI, machine learning, AI, LLMs, that there's this opportunity to bring, really focus more on the unstructured data and create an infrastructure that's more geared toward that. And then somebody, I forget who it was, who said this, made this really weird point. Like, people have been working with structured data for years. They don't even know what the hell to do with it. So what are we going to do? Give them this, and they're not going to be able to deal with that as well. So how do you get people? How do you get users to actually really understand how to use data? And when you think about all the new kinds of data, like you're saying with the Vision Pro, all these new experiential kind of data, that's going to be a whole other new experience of using the data. So how do we get them to actually know what to do with this stuff and actually use it to its fullest?
It's a great question, because I often say, even mine, obviously, we're talking about my experience, of nearly 30 years in the industry. I don't have the answer to every question. The difference is I feel now confident that I know the questions to ask. And I think that's the difference, is that I think there's a certain experience that we have to have, and, to be able to discern the questions to ask these large language models. And that's part of the issue, is that people don't know what to ask. And even in things like research, some of the AI capabilities that we're building into the user testing platform is based around, well, we can help you discern the right questions to ask based on the study we know that you want to run. And that helps people really focus their attention on asking the right questions, because the language model is only as good as the data that goes into it and the questions you ask as the output. And if you go back in time, I don't know if this is a suitable analogy, but if you go back in time, and I saw, Kevin on the show last week, he's a great guy, and I was at Siebel Systems, and I remember Kevin. Siebel was, and look, Bob Stutz and I will argue to the cows come home, that was the best. Universal Customer Master is singularly the best CRM database in existence ever, right? The UCM
you
model.
won't be arguing with him. You'll be arguing against
No,
him. You'll be arguing with him.
Yes, correct. So we are completely united on that point. It was an incredible feat of engineering. Now, we created so many ways for people to store structured data across so many industries. You know, Dave Schmeier ran a lot of the industries. I majored kind of in financial services at Siebel. So we had a whole model built out to store every piece of structured data. So there wasn't anything that you could not know about your customer. Finding it was a pain in the arse, right? So you gathered all that information, and that's where Siebel Analytics came along. And that was the sale of Siebel Analytics unlocked this for you. So we were giving people a way to query it. And I think that was the big explosion. You talk about all these kind of trends we've gone through. One of the big trends was business analytics, right? You know, and then we had, you know, people creating data lakes and so on to interrogate data. And I think it comes down to how you interrogate and get the information out that you need.
So let's go in a different direction now. User testing, I want to go back there. So company's been around, it's got an amazing team. You, Johan, your new CEO. We've got Susie Penner and Paige Musto handling communications. I mean, it's a top flight team. Now you're at the stage because you have such it's kind of both a unique and interesting model, and you have a track record to prove that it works. So you're at the stage where, let's say, the quality of the volume of your voice needs to be driven big. So in other words, you got to make yourself, because look, we live in a world, we've heard this for years, well, the thing that does it, you have to separate signal from noise. And I actually say, no, you have to separate signal from signal, right? That's the hard part. The signal from noise is really easy. It doesn't sound like, right? So
Definitely doesn't.
That's signal from noise. That's right. But signal from signal, that's another story. So what do you guys, or how are you approaching that to put yourself on even a bigger stage?
Yeah, look, I think what somehow got lost, and this is kind of where I've come into this as well. I think something that got lost along the way was the impact of the insights, these human insights that were driven. And when you look at some of the biggest, customer success stories, that we have as well, and what's incredible is our customers want to do success stories with us. They're super proud of the fact that they have a platform that enables them to ask customers how they can do better, right? Not from surveys. Yeah, we can do a survey. You want a survey? Here's a survey. But we can actually engage you, show you prototypes of new things that we are building before we launch them, and get your feedback. Now, to me, that is 100% in the CX space. Yeah. But we effectively called ourselves a leader in UX research, which, yes, we are. But the impact of that research, the impact and the value is in the creation of fantastic customer experiences. And it's not just the fact that it's in CX, it's bloody proactive. Yeah. It's like we're not dreaming it up somewhere, and we've not done a focus group 6 months ago and determined this was right. We're asking you as we develop, right? So any company, whether it's Ford, Amazon, Walmart, Microsoft, Salesforce, you name them, Adobe, when they're building products or when they're creating experiences that their customers are going to use, they are almost like, we talked about this a long time ago. In fact, there's a good friend of ours, Graham Hill,
Yep.
Co-customer value creation.
Yep, that's Graham.
I want to say, Graham, I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it now. And that to me is a really compelling piece. I can actually do it.
We'll make sure he sees this, actually.
Right.
So let's go to the next step. So does that mean that your customers are actually changing the way that they bring products to market based on them using them?
It's a fundamental, I think this is where this is where it gets super. So if you talk about just, first of all, purely from product creation, product managers, product owners, it's like a stage in the cycle of product development which is missing, right? It's like a validation phase that is an iterative phase. It's like, I believe, it's like you basically test, which is maybe like get feedback, build, test again, build, test again, build, and however many iterations it takes to launch. Because the cost of going basically research or test, build, launch, shit, then you go back in and rework, re-architect, then launch again, shit, survey, launch, you're back in again, and it's kind of like, it's a broken model.
Yeah.
And so I think, more and more designers and product owners in particular, now the next one, I'm obviously deeply passionate about marketers, we'll come to that, but product owners and designers are making that shift now. They're changing the way they develop, whether it's experiences or applications or even physical products, to get that research into the loop. Now, again, what separates us from many others is we have a panel of millions of people, right, who can provide that feedback within 2 hours. Imagine you are building something in Figma, right? You're building a design concept, and before you launch, you go, do you know what? I love feedback from my target audience, even just getting 50 people or something like that who are in the 45 to 64-year-old demographic. They use digital banking today. So you do the query, it spits out a bunch of people. You go through, you select them, or you can do an auto select, but then it creates them. It sends out your prototype, click through and tell me what you think. And then they sit on the user testing platform and they're going, I don't like that, or on a mobile device, this button's not working, it's not responding, and this all comes back. And then what you get is you get the AI summary with a highlight reel that you can click on when somebody said something that's either way outlandish, right, or somebody's, the outliers. So again, surveys never capture an outlier. A survey is a distinct set of things like 1 to 5 responses. But innovation happens on the edges. So if you're collecting through just someone's speech, you see also how they react. So we pick up on things like, sentiment, and you get that in a summary, and you can click on it and see how somebody's responded.
Well, I mean, there's first of all, on surveys, people lie all the time,
lie.
right? So
God, yeah.
they're fairly.
Do you?
No.
Well,
You know why? I don't fill out surveys anymore.
Well, here's the thing, that they don't. You can't lie in one of ours.
Well,
because these people are
the
pre-vetted.
layer is gone.
Yeah.
It's why people feel comfortable firing people on email, but not in person. Right. Right.
That's right.
The actual, oh my God, there's a human there. That's gone. But that difference is enormous, and you're literally, I mean, the very fact you can hear someone say, whatever, is amazing.
I don't know how much time we have left.
Well,
but
you know what? We have
probably getting close.
about 10 minutes.
All right, so we've been beating around the bush.
Yeah, I know we have.
We got to get to the hard stuff. Last time we saw you, 5-6 years ago, you were at Adobe. Sean Connery. Michael Caine. It seemed like he threw in a little Sir Alec Guinness too, by the way.
No.
Yeah, he did.
Did you do also Ian McKellen?
I don't think you went Gandalf
just
on
Alec
this.
Guinness.
You didn't do
I
Gandalf.
do Gandalf.
Okay.
Obviously, yeah.
You do?
Yes.
Well, yeah, because we wouldn't know, have you picked up any new ones since then?
Well, they're never new because they're all old people. So, no, I don't think so. Gandalf, wizard, you shall not pass. So that's
Was that Gandalf the Grey or white?
That's definitely Gandalf the Grey. Yeah.
No. Well, I still remember a few years ago at 3:30 in the morning, your time, getting a message with a video from you, or actually a video from you and Michael Caine at 3:30 in the morning. Clearly, you were not sleeping, but
I wasn't sleeping, no, and I probably rum and cigars or something like that.
You
just to
were.
get the-
It was.
just to get the depth.
It worked. It was good.
I do remember that.
So you want to give some of the. See, nobody who's hearing this really knows, unless they saw you when we did the Adobe thing. They don't really know how good your mimicry is.
What, Michael Caine?
There.
Michael Caine. I'm sitting here with two geezers. And I have to say, I really like your show. It's great. CRM Playaz every Thursday. It's on. Don't miss it. But again, I still think, Michael Caine there is an arc to Michael Caine, right? It's the whole, and that's why it's so much fun. Because at the beginning of his career, his voice was always very, very nasally. I only ask you to blow the bloody doors off. However, as he got older, in the port and the cigars.
What about? But wait a minute. You did say you went to Miami. You did a little Al Pacino at Scarface, didn't you?
I did. I did. Then what was it? What did I do? Al Pacino, Scarface. I can't remember. All I have, all I have in this world is my brains and my bourse, and I don't break them for no one. That's not brilliant. But
Yeah,
that's not brilliant.
That was like
It's
Al
in there.
Pacino thinking he was Michael Caine.
It's Al Pacino. No, the one that was. Then you can edit all these out. The one. What was it? I love.
You killing me on the day of my daughter's wedding? You asked me to commit murder?
That wasn't bad.
This I will not do. No. Sonny, take him out.
Wow.
He went old school Godfather.
Brando,
that,
man.
that was really good
pretty
stuff.
damn
The
good.
Godfather 2, The Godfather.
Yeah, that was pretty damn good.
All right. Well, we better let him go because I'm sure he's got a lot to do. He's
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
But if you were to, want people who come to this event, go home and do something immediately after coming here, what do you want them to do?
It's a great question. I mean, dream big. I think when you have a platform and you have the ability to go and ask your customers literally anything, first of all, don't be scared. Ask them the tough stuff, right? Challenge yourself. Most businesses, get stuck in a rut of like, they don't innovate. They're scared of innovation, innovation. And so they don't kind of push the envelope or examine the edges. And that's what I said. You have a platform that enables you to go and think big, dream big, ask customers, ahead of time what they would like to see, what they want you to do. We're thinking it's a hard thing, Tell us what we're not doing well. Tell us what we could do better. Test everything. I mean, one of the big lessons for me, and again, I'm still learning about customer. I'm learning something new every day. I mean, Walmart came up with an amazing use case around recruitment the other day, right? Which blew me away. But companies like Canva, if you think about how Canva have disrupted design, right? The industry, like how they've disrupted, Adobe in many ways, right? They've democratized design. How have they done that? They've made it super easy to use their tool. How have they done it? User testing is embedded in every aspect, right, of that business. And I think it's really exciting. And, one of the things when I went out and I was in Australia at the beginning of the year and I met, some folks from the company there, and they used a phrase which I thought, this is great. They said, when we launch or when we release a new feature, we get asked by our executive leadership team, before we even tell them what it is, they say, has it been user tested?
Wow.
Has it been user tested? So it's like, to me, that was the equivalent of the Hoover, right? Or Google it, right?
Wow.
So I think that's really cool.
That's amazing. So you're becoming a verb.
Yes, and then you've cracked it,
Yeah.
right?
We're at this, right? I have a great tagline for user testing since we're at this. Test this. Anyway, it's been good talking with everybody.
What a way to end it.
With a little pizzazz. Anyway,
Well, that's a matter of
Yeah, you're just worried about the Yankees.
Yeah, I'm
There's
just
always-
Yankees and Giants.
Anyway, no, this has been great as always.
Yeah.
You know,
Thanks, guys.
it's few and
Way
far
too
between.
infrequent.
Yeah, but we appreciate it, and looking forward to the next day and a half of what happens at this.
Awesome.
I just like saying it. Anyway, on behalf of, I was going to name like 5 names, Jaime Anderson, but Al Pacino, Sir Alec
Caine.
Guinness. Yeah, Michael Caine in several different phases of his life. On behalf of all those folks, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and we're going back home after this, but we're not going back to Vegas.
That wouldn't be home.
And on that note, thanks again, folks.
Us back,
Yeah. Yes, we are. And we're not going back to Vegas.
and we are actually at home. So,
That's right.
any thoughts after watching it? It's always different when you watch it after the fact.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's like, again, that's like watching. We could just as well have been hanging out at a bar, having that conversation, right? It's Jamie, you know. So, one is user testing's in good hands. That's no question of that in my mind. He's amazing. 2 is, when it boils down to it, user testing itself, has a really, really, it's both good and something of an outlier value proposition now, especially given all the emphasis on AI. And they actually are in a position where, okay, well, JR, why don't you ask your question? But I mean, I just going to repeat something I said anyway.
Oh, well, why you could continue your thought while he puts the question.
All right. So, I mean, basically, they're in this really unusual position where, you know how a lot of people are really upset about AI and its role relative to humans. They actually create a comfort zone for humans they're using AI the way it should be used, which is to augment human activity, right? And to do it, and they're doing it with the right tools.
Okay, looks like JR is asking what has 94 legs, operates like a dumb terminal from a 1970s airport mainframe, and smells bad when running.
I have no clue. And
An old
JR,
COBOL programmer.
there's a good chance that we won't be able to put up the answer you're about to give.
Yeah, this is still is it a family show or?
Well, let's say this: we've had too many people drop F-bombs and things like that over time, so we're probably not a family show. But I'd say we're PG-13.
PG, huh?
Yeah, well, not my fault. That was not my fault. If I had my choice, that would not have called it PG any goddamn thing, right? So,
Wow, that's even more interesting.
yeah, I don't want to be equated with the MPAA ratings.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
The Dallas Cowboys starting 46 offense, defense, and special teams Playaz,
but
and their dumb owner. Okay, well, I can't.
well, keep
disagree
in
with
mind,
that.
JR is a Cowboys fan, so this is clearly he's upset about the horrible season they are having so far.
Yeah, JR, I really wish I could empathize with you on that, but
I can't.
I just
either.
can't.
Well, I mean, I have one is I don't like the Cowboys, and 2 is I'm rooting for the Giants, so that's worse.
Is that who you guys are playing this week? No, they're playing the
No.
Cowboys are playing the Eagles.
Yeah, we're playing the Panthers in Munich.
Wow, what time of the morning is that going to be on?
9 or 9:30 a.m. It'll be on our time.
Well,
So,
at least you should win that one.
Oh, yeah, we should win.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. What?
I don't know.
I don't know what.
No, you don't. I agree if it means no, you don't empathize. That's
No,
definitely
we
true.
don't. Definitely.
Hey, I go back to losing 2 Super Bowl opportunities in the 70s to where we should have beat the Cowboys and we didn't. So I'm still.
I
bitter.
go back to the Giants actually beating the Cowboys in probably 1974 last
You know
year.
what? I'm still mad at the Eagles beating us in the 1949 NFL championship game, and
Yes.
then the Browns beating us in the 1950s NFL championship game, and then they beat us again in the 1954, I think.
Well, the 49 one, I think the Eagles was the Eagles. You said was
Yeah,
it
Steve
was
Van Buren was there.
Steve Van Buren, Chuck
Yeah,
Bednarik was on the
yeah,
team.
Concrete Chucky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he was a nasty bastard. He
still
was.
don't like that.
No, well, he was an absolute jackass. Besides being good at what he does.
Well, he was one of those two-way player guys.
Yeah, but he's an old timer. Deck him when you get the chance, kind of player.
Well, you could ask. Well, you can't ask him anymore, but you could
Frank,
ask Frank Gifford about that
I
one
remember it. That's one of the reasons I hate Chuck Bednarik.
because he
That was
flattened.
literally a cheap shot. It wasn't a legitimate anything.
I mean, he just like fell like.
Yeah, he
Ugh.
basically knocked him unconscious.
Yeah, so I don't like the Browns, although that was before I was
The
born.
Browns, I always liked because of Jim Brown. I thought he
Well,
was,
I liked that. See, that was before Jim Brown's time, thank goodness. So I could say that I actually like. Let's see, what do we got here?
it might
1968.
be. I have no idea. I'll ask
Damn.
Copilot.
Wait a minute, that's just not right. Because I
No, I
mean,
don't. I think he just made that up. But
yeah,
I'm
because
gonna ask
we all know like the Giants won like it's 86, 90, and then they won two more in the thousands, right? With Eli. So you
Yes.
guys can hang you
No,
guys have actually won.
we have a good history.
Yeah,
It's just ever since Coughlin left, we've been terrible.
you guys now the 1958 NFL championship game that everybody used to call the greatest game ever played because I guess
That
it
was
went into
the Giants
overtime.
versus the Colts.
The Colts, right? You guys lost that one,
Colts.
right?
Yeah, we lost in overtime, I think.
Yeah, that dude
What's
like
his name?
ran.
No, he was there. It was their fullback. He went in.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame guy. I
Yeah,
can't remember his name. But
I'm
he
blanking.
kind of like bounced into the end zone because I remember like he bounced.
Yeah, that was something. It was actually an amazing. I didn't watch it. I saw it long after it, but
No, yeah.
but it's also what put the NFL on the map.
I know we're going into overtime, but if you had to rank the teams you hate the most in the NFL, what would they be? I've got mine because I can't get over teams beating me in big games.
Yeah, and I don't have a ton of hate. I don't. Well, okay, so it changed because once, for example,
What about that?
once the Redskins were sold by the
the guy,
what's his name, Dan Snyder sold
Dan
the
Snyder.
Redskins. I mean the Commanders. I didn't hate them anymore. I only hated him. I didn't really
Right.
hate them. They actually are usually made up of extremely nice people on that.
Well, the Redskins. Remember, I don't even know if Snyder is the worst Redskin owner in their history. No, I think is the worst. George Preston Marshall.
Well, he was scumbag racist.
Exactly. He was the absolute worst.
Yeah, well, he's the Bears too, didn't he? Didn't he own the Bears or something?
No,
He owned
no, that was
Redskins.
the Howless people.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It was George Hallis.
Yeah, he was a good guy. Papa Bear? No, he was a good guy.
Yeah, Papa Bear. You're right. So I guess if I'm looking at the Patriots, of course, I can't stand them. I mean, they're pathetic now, but I still can't stand them. Number two, it's a tie between the Eagles and the Cowboys, really. I mean, I don't hate them, but I want them to lose. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Is it mostly because of the fans when it comes to like the Eagles or the Cowboys? Because their fans are so.
No, the problem is our fans suck too, and that's the problem.
The Giants fans are bad.
The Giants fans are Yankees fans. They're the same ones. Pretty much the same people. So Jets fans are just sad. Yeah, well, they are. It's like they don't ever win anything, and they moan about it nonstop. And they're like the Mets, at least. And again, Mets and Jets fans tend to overlap, but when it comes to the Mets, they're at least somewhat optimistic now. But at the same time, they get the Jets ones are just like, of course this is happening to us, just like that. It's like self-pitying fans.
Shout out to Alan Berkson, by the way.
Well, no, Alan's probably one of the smarter of the fans because he understands. Guess what? This is all a game, right? It's not real. It's not like really important in your life. It's important to you maybe because you love the teams and you're civically responsible person or whatever. But like with the thing with the Yankees losing the series this year, look, it was disappointing. But when you have an inning like that, you deserve to lose. Let's face it. I mean, that said, as I think I don't know if I told you this, but I certainly told Dean Landsman. I said, you know what? Yankees win World Series, they lose the World Series. Materially, it impacts my life absolutely not at all. Right? I said I can be happy, I can be sad for a little bit. My life will be exactly the same as it was, regardless of the outcome. Right? So I said, I'm not about to lose sleep over it. When I was younger, I would, but I didn't know better. When you hit 75, you realize, okay, you don't really need to sweat this too much. And look, I live and die with the Yankees. I mean, I will yell at the TV set. I'll get mad. I can't watch close games. I have to track them because I can't stand the tension. I mean, it's like, it's absolutely the case. But the outcomes themselves, they are what they are. And once the outcome happens, I'm good. Like the Knicks losing last night, similar. I love the Knicks. I absolutely love the Knicks. I always did. But I couldn't watch them for years because they were so dysfunctional. Now I love watching them. And they lost last night, a game they should have won. But they're 3-4. They're not gelled yet, So I'm not going to freak out over it. They'll be fine. And I have to admit, I'm not sure how well he'll be as a teammate, but as a player, Town, he's amazing. I've never seen a center who operates like a guard when he shoots. Right? He just and his shots are not the kind that bounce off the rim and go in. They're just, and he's doing that from 3-point range, like it's like he's inside the paint. It's just like he's amazing. It's like watching him shoot is kind of a real pleasure, because I don't see guys that big. And the other thing is, which is always astonishing to me, he's a big center who's well, not a giant center, but a big enough one who is a really good foul shooter. He actually can hit 2 in a row, right? Which is amazing for a center. Most of them are terrible.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's like, and so I don't I don't like the Eagles. I probably dislike the Eagles a little more than I dislike the Cowboys. And if it came down to a game between the two, I had to root for one. I'd probably root for the Cowboys. I can't stand Jerry Jones. I think he's another racist, jackass, rich bitch type, right? I just don't like him.
Sounds like a Hall and Oates.
Well, he's like a entitled jackass. He's like and he's a piece of. He's a terrible person. So anyway, but the players are kids. They all are. I don't dislike, as a person, I don't dislike Dak Prescott. I think he's overrated, but I certainly don't dislike him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything
No,
to make you mad.
And you know what? I'm sure Jalen Hurts is a nice guy too. I don't know. I don't really know.
Seems like a pretty good guy.
Yeah, and I know Barkley's a great guy.
But you know what? I mean, a lot of, well, I don't know if a lot, but a significant amount of my hate for some of these teams really are at the fans. Some of these fans, like I grew up 30 minutes south of Philly, so I know all about the Philly fans.
Look, one of the great moments of my life was years ago. I spoke at a Comcast Spectacor, Ebony and Ivory. What are you coming up with that one?
That's a Paul McCartney, Michael Jackson reference.
I get it, but I know I got the reference. I'm just wondering what it was going on that popped that one up.
I don't know, but I was gonna say, like my hate stems from I don't really, well, I hated the Celtics growing up because I was a huge Sixers fan, and you had to choose your sides on that one. I don't hate the Celtics like I used to, but then again, I'm not as big a fan of the Sixers like I used to.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. It weighs against how much you root for and how much you root against too.
Yeah,
I'll tell you the great moment of my life. I once did a speech for the Flyers, in front of the Flyers on CRM. Oddly, it was on from their staff. It was at
that Mark guy, right,
in Atlantic City. Yeah, he brought me in. This is in 2004 or 5. I won't tell you the story of the speech because it'll take time. but I will tell you that they didn't have my full fee. So they offered me like free tickets, like really good. Well, that is true. JR is ebony and ivory. Um, they offered me free, really good tickets, like suite tickets and stuff. So I would take my cousin and my uncle to see Flyers, Rangers games and stuff. But one time I asked them if they had Yankees. The Yankees were playing the Phillies in Philadelphia. So I thought, well, Yvonne and I could go to that. And they got us tickets for all three games. The Flyers did. They got us tickets for all three games. They put us up in a hotel at their expense. And each seats were very different. But because it's Philadelphia, 1 million Yankees fans were in the ballpark. And they were out like they were pushing around in a verbally, but pushing around the Philadelphia the Phillies fans. They were like beating, in fact, verbally beating the crap out of them, to the point where I remember I was in a section of Yankee fans, and there was a Phillies fan group right next to us, and this one Phillies fan from that group stands up and yells to the stadium, "How can we let the Yankee fans do this to us? We got to start chanting. We got to start cheering." And they didn't. So then, and the Yankees fans would show up to watch batting practice, and the Phillies fans wouldn't. So at the end of the series, the Yankees took 2 out of 3. One of the best games I ever saw, actually. Ryan Howard got struck out with 2 outs, runners at second, third. Yankees leading by 1 by Mariano Rivera in the bottom of the ninth. It was amazing. It was like Ryan Howard in his peak, So anyway, remember the announcers from the TV station saying, well, at least one good thing came of this series. And the other one said, "What's that?" He said, "The Yankees fans are leaving town." Right. Like, because we were so dominant. And it was like one of the great moments of my life to see the Phillies fans put in their place in their own stadium, Yeah, it was awesome.
Nice. Anyway, we better end the show. What I just got this stat, and since I didn't do a Stump the Godfather, I just didn't feel like doing it. Can you guess what the average age of a home buyer is now in the U.S.?
Oh, okay. See, that one becomes interesting. Let's see.
This is from CNBC.
Okay, home buyer. So this would be first, second, third, doesn't matter really. Okay, I'm going to guess.
Average age, yeah.
Wow, I don't have a clue, but I'm going to guess 27.
Even if you doubled that, it wouldn't be enough. It says and this is really interesting. So the average age of home buyers in the U.S. has risen by 6 years since July of 2023.
Whoa!
The average age of home buyers is now 56, up from 49 in 2023.
What?
According to the National Association of Realtors annual State of the Market report. Yeah, I am barely old enough to buy a house now.
I can't imagine how that's even right. I mean, I get that you're averaging people.
And once again, JR, he did
good work.
we know what you do now, JR. You did cheat. You got it right on the bottom. Yeah.
Well, not that, he got it after you said it. But technically, I guess he didn't cheat. He just repeated what you said, right? So
that's amazing.
I can't imagine. I don't get it. I mean, I can get you buying your second home, third home, and you're that age. But if you average in all the first-time home buyers, it still averages out to 56.
That says the median
people are buying homes at 80.
The median age of first-time buyers also rose from 35 to 38, while the share of first-timers dropped from 32 to 24% of all buyers for the year, ending July 2024. So it's like people just can't get loans. Young people just can't get the money they need,
Spending too much money voting for Trump.
Oh, okay. On that note, we will be back to regular programming next week.
That's right.
Hopefully, if we're still around. Anyway, Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Playaz, and let's see. We haven't seen Minnie in a while, so let's.
Yeah. There she is.
Yeah. Man,
to be fair, she's one of our 2 mascots.
Yeah, Patrick. We don't have an image of Patrick.
No, we probably need to get one to bring her in.
Anyway, we will see you next week.
Bye.